Listen closely, because every December, when the cold settles deep into the ground and the world wraps itself in lights and comfort, something else moves through the dark. People don't just disappear in the blizzards or slip away into the night, they're taken in ways that leave no trace at all. No struggle. No warning. Only a single sound echoing through empty streets, the faint jingle of a bell that was never hung by human hands. Investigators have spent decades trying to understand why these vanishings always happen during the same week, why families find doors left open even though they were locked, why footprints in the snow end in the middle of wide, open yards as if the person simply lifted off the earth. And tonight, you will discover the patterns they uncovered. Patterns that explain why some homes never see another Christmas, and why some families leave behind gifts that will never be opened. Tonight, you'll learn why some people never celebrate Christmas again. What you are about to hear comes from police archives, recovered interviews, and family accounts kept hidden for years. 3 Christmas disappearances, each separated by miles, yet connected by details too exact to ignore. A snowman that moved without anyone touching it. A set of bells ringing from a place no one had stepped into for decades. And a visitor who left gifts on a doorstep long after the family it belonged to was gone. These cases were once considered accidents, until investigators compared the timelines. Until they realized the events took place within the same narrow window of nights. And until they uncovered one detail linking them together, a detail found in all 3 locations, hidden inside evidence bags sealed away from the public. Stay until the final story, because number 1 contains a detail so disturbing, the few who heard it the first time refused to sleep with the lights off. Even seasoned officers refused to reopen the files. What you're about to hear has never been released in full. And once you know what connects these disappearances, you'll understand why. Our first case takes place in a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of Maple Hollow, a place known for gentle winters, familiar faces, and streets that fall silent after dark. On December 22nd, just 3 days before Christmas, temperatures dropped lower than anyone expected. Fresh snow covered every rooftop in a perfect white sheet. Holiday lights flickered softly along fences. And from a distance, you could hear the faint sound of carols drifting through the air, the kind that usually brings comfort. But one family reported something that didn't belong in that peaceful scene, something they believed started as a harmless decoration. Their daughter, 11-year-old Claire, was the first to see it. She said it appeared sometime around dusk, standing across the street beneath a street lamp. Just a snowman. Round head, coal eyes, a crooked smile carved from a thin line in the snow. Perfectly normal. At least, at first glance. Her parents assumed someone in the neighborhood built it. But Claire insisted she hadn't seen anyone outside. No kids. No tracks. Just the snowman, already formed, already staring at her bedroom window. On the next night, December 23rd, Claire noticed the snowman again. Only this time it wasn't across the street. It was in the family's front yard. Her parents tried to laugh it off, telling her someone probably moved it as a prank. But Claire pointed out something they couldn't explain. The snowman wasn't posed the same way. Its stick arms weren't resting at its sides anymore. They were raised, angled forward, as if reaching toward the house. As if mimicking a knock on the door. She told investigators she felt watched. The kind of feeling that crawls across your skin long before you understand why. By the 3rd night, Christmas Eve, tension in the house grew thick. Claire woke around 3 in the morning to a faint tapping sound. A soft, patient rhythm, coming from the window beside her bed. She sat up, staring at the pale glow of the curtains shifting in the moonlight. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She only listened. She later described it as the kind of tapping you hear when someone is trying to get your attention without waking the whole house. But what disturbed investigators even more were the footprints discovered outside. They didn't follow any straight path. They circled the house, crossed themselves, and wandered back and forth as if someone, or something, had been pacing for hours. And the shape of the prints didn't match human shoes. They were wider, uneven, as though made by something dragging the weight of a full body behind it. Claire's parents finally checked their outdoor cameras. According to the timestamp, the yard remained completely still all night. The cameras picked up no movement, no shadows, no figure approaching the house. The snowman didn't appear on the footage at all. And yet, the tapping continued. Louder this time. Still steady. Still patient. Almost like a heartbeat against the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Claire hid beneath her blanket, trembling, hoping the sound would fade. But then came something she couldn't ignore. A whisper. A cold breath brushing the other side of the glass. A voice, soft enough to slip under the door of her imagination, yet clear enough to leave no doubt. She forced herself to look. With shaking hands, she pulled the curtain back just an inch. And that was when she saw it. The snowman's face, its coal eyes, were pressed against the windowpane. Inches away. Its smile stretched wider than before. Its arms raised higher, frozen mid-reach, as if it had been caught trying to push its way inside. Claire screamed. The tapping stopped instantly. Would you open the curtains, or run? And tell me, do you think this thing was human? When the family rushed into her room, the window was empty. The snowman was gone. No trail. No prints. Nothing but untouched snow illuminated by the porch light. But inside the house, investigators found something unsettling the next morning. Small puddles of melted snow, scattered across the hallway floor. Each one shaped like something had been standing there, dripping, before it moved further inside. And that was only the first of the 3 cases. Our second case revolves around a family who moved into an old 2-story home just days before Christmas. The property had been empty for years, sitting at the edge of Birchwood Lane. An area locals often avoided once winter settled in. The house itself had a history the family didn't yet know, a quiet string of past residents who left suddenly, claiming the place felt too busy at night, even when no one else was inside. They moved in on December 20th. Snow fell lightly, frost collected on the windows, and the cold air inside the home carried the faint smell of dust and forgotten seasons. That same night, they heard something unusual. At exactly midnight, the parents reported a distant jingling sound, slow, metallic, and far too steady to be the house settling. It had rhythm. Purpose. Each chime separated by long pauses. The sound came from the attic above their bedroom. And with each gentle ring, small specks of dust drifted from the attic door, as though something moved directly against the floorboards above them. At first, they convinced themselves it had to be old pipes or a draft shifting stored items. But the sound continued. Every night. And always at the same precise moment, midnight. By the 3rd night, curiosity overtook hesitation. The father decided to pull down the attic ladder and investigate. When he climbed up, he found the space dimly lit by a single dangling bulb that flickered with every breath of cold air. He noticed an old wooden box tucked in a corner, coated with thick dust. Inside were children's toys from the 1940s. Tin soldiers, a wooden train, a small stuffed bear missing one button eye, and a tiny brass bell. Its handle was wrapped in faded ribbon, brittle with age. Under the bell lay a folded note. A note written in pencil, shaky and uneven, as if the writer had been rushing. The father stared at it, confused, then placed everything back inside the box. He didn't ring the bell. He didn't even touch it again. But he could not shake the feeling that the attic suddenly felt colder than when he'd entered. That same night, at midnight, the bells returned. But this time, they rang faster. Closer. As though something was moving back and forth directly above the family, pacing. The parents lay awake, listening to the weight shifting above them. Then the pacing stopped. Silence. A silence so heavy it pressed into their chest. And then, the bells began again. But not slow. Not steady. They rang in short bursts, frantic, disordered, as if shaken by something searching for something it had lost. The next morning, the parents checked the attic again. They expected to find fallen boxes or scattered toys. Instead, they found footprints. Small at first, then larger, leading directly from the old toy box to the top of the attic ladder. The family insisted none of them had been up there since the night before. And the prints were strange. The first sets looked like they belonged to a young child. The later sets were wider. Longer. As if the feet that made them had changed shape. The bells were silent when they entered the attic. But when they stepped back down into the hallway, they heard breathing. Not loud. But steady. Slow. Coming from the attic door, just inches above their heads. That night, they opened the attic door one final time. The father climbed the ladder halfway and lifted his flashlight. The beam stretched across the dusty floor, and stopped on a figure crouched in the far corner. It was tall, its limbs long and unevenly bent. Its face looked distorted, as if it had been shaped out of clay and left to dry before being fully finished. And lodged deep in its throat, was the tiny brass bell from the box. It glinted when the light hit it. When the creature lifted its head, the bell shook slightly, producing a faint jingle from somewhere deep inside its chest. And then it spoke. "Where is my toy?" The father dropped the flashlight. By the time he scrambled back down the ladder, the thing had already begun to stand. What would you do if you heard bells in your attic, alone? Hit the like button if you think the family should have left the moment they found that note. When police arrived, the attic was empty. No figure. No new footprints. Just the old box, its lid open, ribbons scattered across the floor. But one officer, curious and unaware of the warning, decided to take the brass bell as evidence. He logged it at the station and kept it in his desk drawer. 2 months later, that officer disappeared. And the only thing found at his home was the bell. Lying beside his bed. And still warm to the touch. Our final case comes from a remote cabin community near the northern woods. A place where winter settles early, snow piles against doorframes, and neighbors may go weeks without seeing each other face to face. For 5 years, one resident, a man named Daniel Orr, reported something unusual each Christmas Eve. Not noise. Not disturbances. Not threats. But gifts. They appeared on his doorstep sometime during the night. Perfectly wrapped in deep red paper, tied with gold ribbon. No signature. No footprints. No signs of anyone approaching or leaving. Every year, Daniel assumed it was a friendly tradition, until he began looking closer. The first gift he ever received seemed harmless, though strangely personal. Inside the box was a single child's mitten. Small. Worn. Stiff with age. He didn't have children, and he didn't know anyone missing such an item. The second year, he received an old black and white photograph of a stranger, a little boy standing near a frozen pond. The boy's eyes looked directly into the camera, expression neutral, posture rigid. The third year, the gift was a small shard of broken glass. Sharp on one side. Smooth on the other. Daniel couldn't place where it came from. But when he held it up to the light, he noticed something strange: fingerprints. Smudged. Tiny. As if a child had been holding it shortly before it was wrapped. By the fourth Christmas Eve, the tone of the gifts shifted. On that night, Daniel opened the newest package and found a torn fabric sleeve, stiff with frozen blood. The sleeve belonged to no coat he owned. The following year, the fifth gift was a cassette tape. No label. No writing. When Daniel played it, he heard faint whispering. It repeated the same phrase over and over, too soft to understand at first. But after amplifying the audio, he recognized the words. According to investigators, Daniel stopped sleeping through the night after that. In late December of the same year, Daniel noticed fresh footprints in the snow outside his cabin. They didn't arrive from the road. They led toward his house. From deep within the forest behind it. The tracks stopped directly at his front door. There were no returning prints. The next night, he heard faint knocking around 2 in the morning. Not loud. Not urgent. Just slow, spaced apart taps that seemed to test the door. But after the knocking faded, another sound replaced it. Something dragging across the snow. Long, sweeping motions, circling the cabin, brushing close to the walls. Daniel described it as the sound of someone pulling a heavy sack or object around the perimeter, taking their time. He didn't check the window. He couldn't bring himself to. The turning point came on December 23rd, when Daniel finally reviewed footage from his doorbell camera, footage he previously assumed only captured still nights and blowing snow. What he found made him call the sheriff. The camera showed a figure standing inches away from the lens. Too close for the motion sensor to trigger earlier. Its breath fogged the glass. Its head tilted just enough to look toward Daniel's bedroom window. And for 6 full minutes, the figure didn't move. It simply watched. You could see Daniel sleeping inside, unaware he was being observed from only a few feet away. Then came Christmas Eve. Daniel later told the sheriff he could feel a presence outside long before any sound began. The wind had stopped. The night was unusually still. And then, the knocking returned. But this time it was different. It grew louder. Stronger. Urgent. The kind of pounding that rattles the frame and dust falls from the ceiling. And over the pounding, came a whisper.
This
year, you're the gift.
You're the gift.
Something scraped along the door after that, dragging upward, then sideways, as if feeling for a way in. Would you dare open the door? And tell me, out of all 3 stories, which one has stayed with you the most so far? On Christmas morning, a neighbor reporting unusual noise requested a welfare check. When officers arrived, they found the front door smashed inward. Wood splintered. Frame cracked. Snow blown inside from the storm. Daniel was gone. No signs of struggle. No blood. No prints. Nothing to explain how someone, or something, entered and left without leaving a trace. But one thing remained. A single gift box sat in the middle of the living room. Wrapped with the same deep red paper, tied with the same gold ribbon. When an officer leaned close, he heard something coming from inside. Faint, slow breathing, steady, waiting. The box was sealed. And to this day, no one has opened it. Christmas is a time of giving, but some gifts shouldn't be opened. A low wind hums. The scene holds on the abandoned doorway, splintered and frozen. The police said the cold air rushing through that broken door felt wrong. Too warm. Almost like someone breathing out. What they didn't tell the public was that the box wasn't empty. A faint shift. Something inside presses upward. A shape, moving. They carried it out in evidence. They never opened it. They said the scratching coming from inside became louder the farther they drove away from the house. Tell me, which story kept you on edge? And, do you still believe Christmas is safe? Silence. Then. Because someone is outside your window, right now.